Hi, this is Rob Pribish coming at you again from the Prib Crib, and this is my part 2 video of my State of the Spectrum address, and this will talk all about prepaid carriers. We'll start off talking about why you might want to go on a prepaid plan. The biggest reason is they're usually a lot cheaper. Also, they're a lot more flexible, so if you want to go a heavy data route, there's a lot of heavy data plans that you can choose from. Or if you don't use a lot of data and you really just want minutes, you can get as cheap as $5, $10, $12 a month. So that's really cool. Another reason is there's no contract. And this is good for two reasons. It means if there's a better deal out there, you can jump ship and go to that better deal without waiting until your contract is up. But also, if there's a better phone out there that you want, you can sell your old phone on the used marketplace and upgrade to your new phone at any time. And that's a lot of people are upgrading more and more often, and so that's a very good reason to be on a prepaid plan. There's a couple myths that people have about prepaid, that they have conceived about prepaid plans. The biggest myth I always hear is, oh well, it's more expensive. What's the catch? The catch is, oh, you have to pay full price for that phone right up front. Yeah, you do have to pay that much, that full price, but you end up saving so much more. And even the worst, kind of most expensive plans out there on prepaid, you're probably going to end up saving, even with the price of the phone, you're probably going to end up saving at least $500 a year versus that 2-year contract. So that's enough to buy 2 extra smartphones over the course of that over the course of that contract plan. Another myth is there's worse phones available, and that used to be very true. And for a long time, you couldn't even get really a smartphone unless you kind of tweaked it or swapped a SIM card or something like that. Now, though, you can get iPhones on pretty much every carrier. Some you need a little bit of tweak. Verizon, it's kind of hard to get an iPhone on there unless you go for an older iPhone. But even on operators on the Sprint network, T-Mobile network, AT&T, very easy. You can even get an iPhone on any of those, newest iPhone, newest Androids. So prepaid plans at a glance, there's some things you want to consider. First, I'm going to just talk about what prepaid plans are and how they kind of operate. Most of them are called MVNOs, Mobile Virtual Network Operators, which means they buy some bulk amount of data, minutes, text messages, and they buy it from the big carriers, the big four: Sprint, T-Mobile, AT&T, and Verizon. So they buy a big, huge bulk order from them, and then they resell it to us, the consumer. It sounds like, oh, that adds a middleman, it's going to be a lot more expensive, but it ends up being cheaper because the bigger networks put kind of restrictions on these smaller networks and allows them to get it for really cheap and sell it for really cheap. However, each major network also has their own prepaid plans. Verizon, AT&T, Sprint, and T-Mobile, they have their own versions of prepaid. Most of them are all really terrible and you can't use smartphones on them. But we'll get to that in a minute. I'll talk about the good ones. Other things to consider is when you're shopping for these plans, is what network does it operate on? If you know Verizon works in your area, you're going to want to look for Verizon MVNO. When you're thinking about what network you want to operate on, a good resource is, there's a Wikipedia article that I used, and I'll put the link in the description below. And it shows you what operator it works on, an idea of like what kind of data it uses, if it has LTE networks, what frequencies it uses. It'll tell you if you can bring your own device, and any other kind of pertinent information that might set it apart from others. You can usually find on that Wikipedia article, which is really useful. Other things to consider is a data cap versus throttle. We talked about this in the last video. Do they just cut you off after 2.5 gigabytes, for example, or do they just slow you down to 2G speeds? Do they have a bring your own device program? Am I going to be able to get off my contract and use the same phone as I save up for a new phone? Or am I only going to be able to buy from their list of phones? Finally, a lot of them have a discount for auto pay. If you set up for it to automatically pay through your credit card, which you probably already did on contract, then you usually get about a $5 discount on a lot of these guys. So like I said, each carrier kind of operates on a specific network. And so I'm going to break down my top 4, one for each network, and why I like it, Mostly I'm looking at specifically data usage because it's definitely the most important thing as far as my own personal cell phone usage. And also, obviously, I'll talk about what kind of text and minutes come with those plans. On AT&T, I'm going to talk about AIO Wireless, AIO Wireless. It's one of the bigger ones. It's relatively new, but they already have stores all over the place, and they operate on the AT&T network. The plan I'm going to talk about, which I like the most from them, is their $45 a month plan, and that is with the autopay discount. If you don't autopay, it's $50 a month. It's unlimited talk and text, 2.5 gigabytes of data before they throttle you. So that's really good. I mean, it's cheaper than AT&T on contract, obviously, and you don't have a contract, so you can jump around whenever you want. It also does have BYOD, bring your own device. Because it's a SIM-based network, AT&T is SIM-based, it's very easy to swap into a new phone whenever you want. As far as the Sprint network, my favorite is probably Virgin. It's probably the best deal overall. There are definitely cheaper options on Sprint. Sprint's they have the most virtual operators on their network. So there's going to be all kinds of different options on the Sprint network with some really creative business models. Virgin's pretty much the biggest and probably the most easy to understand and get into. And they actually have the best deals on iPhones outside of on-contract prices. This is because Virgin does subsidize them a little bit, so they're about $100 cheaper than other off-contract options. The plan I like the best for theirs is their cheapest plan, which is $35 a month for 300 minutes, unlimited text, and 2.5 gigs of full speed data. So that's a great deal. My wife uses it and she loves it. If you have an Android phone, you're not autopay, it's $40. Autopay is $35, and then you get another $5 off that if you autopay with an iPhone, $30 a month. Great deal. Unfortunately, Virgin doesn't have a bring your own device program. They have a ton of devices available, and they have, like I said, they have all the newest iPhones, they have most of the newest Androids within a couple months of them coming out. You have the options, and it's a big network, so if you do want to leave it someday and you're worried about reselling it, you can still resell it. In fact, we're looking at reselling prices, and a Virgin iPhone 4S is actually reselling for more than a regular AT&T or Verizon or Sprint one would. Now, T-Mobile network. Actually, the best prepaid plan I've found for my use on T-Mobile is straight from T-Mobile's Prepaid. This is the one I was kind of hinting at before, where the carrier's own version of Prepaid is really the best deal. Unfortunately, this deal is kind of exclusive in that you can only get it if you're coming from a different carrier from T-Mobile. If you're on T-Mobile now, you'd have to do some kind of workaround to get this plan if you wanted to switch to it. Like, you'd have to port your number to Google Voice and then port it to this plan. So this plan is $30 a month, and it's 100 minutes. Not very much. This is the one I use actually personally. And there's been 1 month where I had to pay for a couple more minutes. But it's 100 minutes a month, unlimited text, and 5 gigabytes of high-speed data. After the 100 minutes, it's 10 cents a minute. Same thing with Virgin, as we talked about before. If you go over that 300 minutes, it's 10 cents a minute after that. And it's T-Mobile, so again, it's a SIM-based network, so it's very easy to bring your own device. In fact, to get this plan, you just go to your local Walmart and get an activation kit and then put it in whatever phone you want that has a SIM slot. Finally, we'll talk about Verizon. Verizon is definitely the most limiting. They have the least amount of virtual operators on their network, and so far I don't think Verizon's allowing LTE on any of their virtual operators, but I'd have to double check that. It's supposedly getting better, and the one I'm going to talk about, PagePlus, they have already announced that they are working on getting LTE. It's not happened yet, but they've said in 2014 they should be getting LTE. So right now PagePlus is probably the best deal. They have a wide range of plans, as low as $12 a month for people who don't talk or text very much, up to the one I'm going to talk about, which is $55 a month for unlimited talk and text and 2.5 gigs of data. Now this one, it's just 2.5 gigs of data. There are overage charges if you go over that. PagePlus also has a bring your own device program. Android phones are pretty easy to port over, but for some reason the iPhone 5 and beyond, since they have LTE, you have to do some kind of software tweaks to get them working on PagePlus. iPhone 4S and below, they're fine. Finally, we'll talk about noteworthy other virtual operators. These are ones that have kind of cool business models or creative business models that can probably save people a lot of money if they're willing to make a little bit of sacrifices here and there. One is Ting. Ting Wireless operates on the Sprint network, and I think they have 7 tiers in all 3 in categories: minutes, text, and data. And so you can tweak it as much as you want. So you can have like a small or 0-minute plan with a ton of text if you only text, and it kind of automatically adjusts to your usage, which is really nifty. Unfortunately, their data prices are very expensive. Even when they actually made them cheaper about a month ago, they're still a little too expensive if you're a heavy data user. They're also the best bring your own device program that operates on the Sprint network, and they're always working to get more phones, and it's really useful. You can also buy phones from them or buy just a Sprint phone and bring it on there. Next is Republic Wireless. This is one of the coolest ones on Sprint, is if you want to save a lot of money. They have 2 phones available right now, Moto X and Moto G, but that's because they have to put specific software on there that allows them to use Wi-Fi calling. Basically what it means is anytime that the phone is in Wi-Fi signal that has internet, it will route all the text and voice over the Wi-Fi, so they don't actually have to use Sprint's data that they're paying for. So it allows them to be very cheap. You can get a $5 a month plan, and you have a phone and you can call and text on it, but only when you're on Wi-Fi, which is kind of cool. It would be really useful, I could see, for like traveling, especially if you're traveling to a big city abroad, and you can still have your regular phone number and only pay $5 a month as long as you're on Wi-Fi a lot. Okay, or you can pay $10 a month, and that gives you talk and text access on the Sprint network unlimited, but no data. Data is still limited to just on Wi-Fi. Finally, they have a $25 and a $40. $25 will get you unlimited talk and text and data on 3G speeds. $40 a month will give you unlimited talk, text, and data on 4G LTE speeds. Again, it works on the Sprint network, and the Moto X and Moto G are both great phones. On T-Mobile, a very interesting one is called $35 or less. As the name suggests, it will only ever maximum be $35. The more subscribers that they sign up in that month, the less it will be for that month for the current users. It's really kind of cool. And even when you sign up, it will give you the current price. So let's say you sign up halfway through the month and it's already down to $27 a month, then that's what you get when you start. Now the next month it might go back up if they don't get many subscribers. It's kind of an interesting business plan. Finally, StraightTalk. They actually offer the same plans across the board, but you can get phones for every different operator. So you can get StraightTalk with a Verizon phone. You can get StraightTalk with a Sprint phone. It's kind of hard to do. It's very confusing from the website's point of view. If you're going to a store though to buy them, you can just look on the box and it'll say GSM-A means it's AT&T, -T means it's T-Mobile, CDMA-S Sprint, -V Verizon. So that's kind of cool. The plans aren't the cheapest out there, but they are still really good. Obviously, they're going to be cheaper than on-contract prices. All right, so that's kind of a recap and a rundown of some of the better operators on each network, as well as some kind of cool different ones. Again, there's like 20, 30, 40 plus of these in the US alone. So that link I'm going to put down there to the Wikipedia article, very useful when you're shopping for these. I usually go and look on it maybe once a month because I'm looking for the best deal out there. So far, for my usage, T-Mobile's $30 a month prepaid is definitely the best. It has tons of data, and I really like that. As far as family plans, it's really cool because you can tweak each phone plan to that person's usage. If you don't want your kids on the internet all the time, shoot, get them that $10 a month plan from Republic, and they've got unlimited talk and text. That's amazing. Or if you want to be on Verizon, PagePlus, $12 a month, You know, it's not unlimited, but it's probably enough talk and text to get them by. Or if you have someone that uses a lot of data and you're okay with them using a lot of data, give them that $30 a month T-Mobile plan. You gotta stay on top of things, and obviously it's gonna mean you're gonna have maybe 4 accounts for 4 people, but it's relatively, it ends up being a lot cheaper, and it's not that hard to do because most of them have auto pay. They take credit cards, some take PayPal. We really like that Virgin takes PayPal, and even some will allow you to link to your bank account. So if you have just a bill paying account, it's really easy to do. Alright, so thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one. I hope it can be useful to you in your search for a better plan, a better way of saving money month to month, and I'll hit you up with another video in a couple weeks. Thanks.